Could we have the sartorially splendid Hubert Earle come forward, please? Let us start by listening to well-known boxing ring announcer Michael Buffer.
And inside the ring, the man in charge of the action at the bell, referee Hubert Earle. And now, from Madison Square Garden, New York City, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Madison Square Garden, New York City, and Hubert Earle. You look very serious there, by the way, focused. The name Hubert begins with the letters H and U, so does the word humble, and that is no secret, no coincidence. The words are synonymous. Hubert Earle, one of the most humble men you'll ever meet. While listening to the reasons he entered boxing as a career and about the people he's met, the places he's been, the challenges he's faced, and in a life where he could see himself above others if he wanted to, because he is an official and an executive, Hubert remains totally grounded. Here's a quote. "You can't just step into the ring and referee or sit in a judge's chair or be a boxing timer. You have to learn what to do, and that takes time. It took me 3 years of working with Bobby Beaton to become a referee. It takes a timer more than the ability to click a clock and read numbers to time a fight. It takes a judge an ability to learn the rules and the nuances of the game to do his or her job." Hubert has officiated in local rings and in venues around the world. He is still called upon to do world fights and trains religiously for several hours, 3 times weekly, to be in shape to keep up with boxers a few decades younger than him, but maybe none wiser. Longtime friend and now chair of the Nova Scotia Boxing Authority, Mickey McDonald, speaks about Hubert's officiating.
Probably one of the most recognized referees in Canada and if not the world, right? I mean, everybody knows Hubert. He travels the world to supervise championship fights everywhere, in China, in Japan. You know, it's just unreal the amount of places he goes. He is very, very interested and passionate about this sport and about refereeing it. And that, if you can get that kind of passion in anybody about anything, they're always good at it.
Hubert has worked in Seoul, Rome, Manchester, Cannes, Bangkok, Mexico City, Venezuela, Australia, Japan, Indonesia, Panama, Nicaragua, Ireland, Indonesia, and Germany. That was you, yeah, yep. We saw the Michael Buffer introduction moments ago. Now here is a highlight of Hubert in the ring a few years ago with Roy Jones Jr. and Joe Calzaghe at Madison Square Garden about Hubert considers perhaps his greatest thrill, stepping through the ropes at what is considered the mecca of boxing.
Calzaghe knows that Jones is quicker in the center of the ring, and down goes Calzaghe. Just as he was down in the first round against Hopkins, he's down in the first round against Jones. And Jones makes his point that he can hurt Calzaghe in flurries in his eye.
Another quote from Hubert, "I recall being in New York with my wife Gail days before that fight. She said to me, 'Let's go inside and see the place.' I told her I wasn't entering the garden until it was as an official, and I waited the couple of days until that dream came true." A World Super Bantamweight Championship belt between Bernard Dunn and Ricardo Cordoba in Ireland was another highlight for Hubert, who, as you can see here, was presiding over one tough bout.
They're so laid back, you would think they were horizontal. And this one tonight, this is what, rise up! Unbelievable! Well, left hook, brilliant stuff.
Talk about it horizontal. There's where Ricardo Cordoba ended up.
And he's
in the
badly
open
hurt.
ring, and he's in trouble.
This is a tough fight for the referee too. These two guys are up and at it like two fighting cocks.
Bernard Dunn looks a little dazed to me. Referee has a long, lingering look at him. He still has a quarter of a minute to survive. One more down and you know the referee could step in here.
You're tough. You shook it off, huh? Yeah. Even though he has done much to improve the safety for boxers and mixed martial arts competitors, Hubert says the highlight for him is always climbing through those ropes to officiate. He says, doing everything else, all those safety measures I've instituted and overseen, makes me realize that it's a safer sport when I climb through the ropes.
Hubert worked very closely with the doctors and the rest of the commission, but Hubert has been instrumental in all this stuff, right? He's been, as I say, he puts that extra time, that extra effort in to make sure he talks to all the commissions across Canada. He goes out and digs up the information and puts it together, comes back to me, and like I said, he's very instrumental in everything that we do.
When he would attend bouts at the Halifax Forum, Hubert would sit in the bleachers and criticize the officials. One day, a man said to him, "If you can do any better, why don't you try it?" Hubert realized that he could get the best view of the fight and not have to pay and even be paid for it. And today, he is recognized as one of the best in the world. One of the best and worst experiences of Hubert's officiating life was refereeing a Ricky Anderson bout in Halifax. He says it was one of the best because he had a chance to elevate himself as a referee, which he did. It was one of the worst because he saw what boxing fans could be like. He said, "I had to stop the fight as Anderson was taking a pounding. I lost compassion and understanding for Nova Scotia fight fans that night. I felt I made the right decision and protected Ricky from serious injury as he was helpless on the ropes. Fans thought otherwise. I was called names and verbally abused. I had to be escorted from the ring by the police, and the media hammered me for a week. But I knew then, and I know today, I made the right call." When Hubert joined the Nova Scotia Boxing Authority, he studied with provincial medical examiner Rolly Perry to understand injuries. Perry told him, "Let me teach you so you don't put anyone on my table."
Hubert is very thorough in his putting the ring together, making sure that the referees have their positions, that the doctors have their positions, that the commission is prepared and ready. So he's very, very knowledgeable. Hubert's still there. He's still adding value. He's still contributing. He still is passionate as he ever was about it. So again, no disrespect to anybody, but like I said, these guys, they put their heart and soul into it, and they do a great job. They win world titles and Canadian championships and everything else. But still, the guy in there protecting them, the guy watching over them, is Hubert Earle, making sure that they don't get concussions and that they don't get hurt, they don't get overmatched. He's there, he's supportive, and without Hubert and without people like Hubert, this game would be far worse off.
When he became chair of the authority, Hubert held seminars, revised rules and regulations that had been untouched for 15 years and are now reviewed annually. NSBA officials now go through rigorous education and training, and Hubert claims he would put any Nova Scotian official against anyone in the world. A lot of Hall of Famers give up family time to pursue their dreams, yet they have the love and support of family at all times. So tonight, here's a special message for you.
I was 9 the first time I saw my father referee. He said to me, "Pam, if anything should happen, do not jump in the ring. Dad, you know I'm your biggest fan, and I love you."
Congratulations, Gramps.
And Hubert, congratulations on what you've done to make combat sports safer. And ladies and gentlemen, our newest builder inductee to the Hall of Fame, Mr. Hubert Earle. To present the plaque representing Miko Companies, its president, Mickey McDonald. And to present the pin, we'd like to call on a Hall of Fame builder inductee, a major leader in swimming in the province, Mr. Nigel Kemp. That's very neat. Here we are. Hubert Earle, the great Hubert Earle. I was a big fan of yours growing up. I remember we saw, growing up, now hold it, yeah, sorry. I remember we saw each other at a Truro sport dinner a few years back, and I said, you'll be going in that Nova Scotia Sport Hall soon, and you said, nah, I won't, it won't be me. And you were so humble then. Why did you think this wasn't attainable for you?
I didn't think I was doing anything to contribute. You know, I was out there doing something for me, and I just thought of it that way. I didn't think that I was helping anybody. I was just doing what came natural.
But you were making the sport so much safer.
I didn't look at it that way. I was just doing what comes natural.
Well, it's worked for a lot of people, trust me. Hubert, in the ring, when you're in there, I'm curious, was Madison Square Garden the absolute pinnacle for you, or were there others that were even more exciting?
Well, Madison Square Garden was the pinnacle. That there was Hubert Earle from Nova Scotia standing in a ring in Madison Square Gardens where the greats were. Joe Louis, you know, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier. And there's little old me from Nova Scotia standing there. That's why it was great there.
Yeah. Remember watching, I think it was years ago on either CBC or TSN, I think it was Lacusta versus DeWitt in Edmonton. You refereed, was it Edmonton?
Edmonton, yes.
Yeah, you refereed that. That place was rocking like it was the Gretzky Oilers playing there.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was. It was a fabulous night. Fabulous. The whole city was electrified.
What's it like, Hubert, when you're in there? Would you ever allow yourself to get lost? Because you refereed fights involving Roy Jones, the great Donald Cobra Curry, Willie DeWitt when he was coming up. How do you not get lost in watching these great athletes?
Well, you know, you don't get lost because once you're in the ring, they're just two fighters. But before that, an example, like my first title fight was Donald Curry, the Cobra. Everybody knew him. And I had to go to the dressing room and pretend that I was the big, hard man. And all the time, I had baggy pants on. My knees were shaking inside the pants.
I just thought you were going to say something about the big, hard man, but thank God you didn't. Wasn't sure where you were going, Hubert. God love you. The sport here in Nova Scotia, you've been such a fixture forever. And why has it grabbed you and held you?
What, just in Nova Scotia?
Or just anywhere? It's such a big part of your life.
I think it's the danger of it. You know, how many people, besides a physician or something, that can hold a life in their hands, can hold a career in their hands, and do the right thing with it? You know, I think that danger is the thing that attracts me to it.
And making sure people come out not experiencing danger.
Unfortunately, to me, it's a game. You know, like I've had extensive medical training, and I know what I'm looking for in that, you know. So you tend to go out and you take a fighter's life and you put it on a string and you cut the strands. And just before that last strand, you stop it. And that's the high.
Right. Knowing when to get in and making sure everybody leaves safely.
Yes, you know, you talked about the Dunn fight. You know, some of the media complained, some didn't, you know, and Dunn went to the hospital. No, excuse me, Cordova went to the hospital, you know, and, but I knew he went to the hospital because it was exhaustion and dehydration. I knew it. My training told me that. And, you know, then the amusing part of it about it, you know, Cordova's laying in the hospital bed, and right beside him is Dunn.
Warriors to the end, right?
To the end.
Yeah, listen, you've been so much fun to watch. It's so neat to watch these huge fights and to see you standing there looking so much younger than you really are, by the way. We won't get into that. What a great inspiration to Nova Scotians, folks, and just a great guy. HU for Humble and Hubert, congratulations to you.
Thank you.